we would also have two great questions from the audience, from Neil and from Azin. But do you still have a question that you would like to address from the wiki?
Well, there is the question, Simon's question, which I'll hold that in reserve since he's not here. But if we've got time at the end, I'll address that. But let's move to Iran.
Okay, Iran. Azin, who I don't know whether you still see that in the text chat. I can paste it to you again, and I'll read it to you aloud. I'll just paste it again. That was Azin's question. I was wondering how we can make it clear to students about the similar pronunciation of the words, which may even change the meaning of the words and even sometimes make them sound offensive, like beach, and the other word is like bitch. I have always corrected students in class and strongly stopped them saying the wrong pronunciation, but I've always been told not to do so. Why have you been told not to do so? Azin, please type in the text chat as Scott is addressing this question. It comes a very spontaneous question, so I'm wondering whether he has some thoughts on this.
Well, I'm always pronunciation, of course, is not, well, first of all, let me say, it's not my expertise, pronunciation. It's one thing I haven't written extensively about, but I mean, I do have, we all have memories, both as teachers and learners, of hideously embarrassing moments when we mispronounced a word. I think this is the nice thing, that the classroom, in a sense, provides a kind of safe laboratory in which students can make these kinds of mistakes and be gently reminded or corrected out of them, and perhaps given a little sort of health warning attached to that particular distinction. I mean, I think on the whole, my feeling about pronunciation, I mean, you've said that, yeah, it shouldn't be done because it creates an you're correcting the students too much, and there's a greater tolerance perhaps now towards pronunciation. The realization has finally dawned that, particularly with adults, that you're never going to get them to speak like a native speaker, and nor will they need to necessarily. But there are hazards in being lenient in terms of pronunciation. One of the hazards is that they may well be misunderstood, or worse, say something inadvertently offensive. So I think as a teacher, our responsibility is not to push the learners towards sounding like native speakers, but is to at least have them sound intelligible in a variety of different kind of contexts, and also give them some kind of guidance as to where they may possibly cause offense. And I don't mean necessarily just by mispronouncing words, but by use of intonation, which is perhaps sounds impolite, etc. So these are the kind of, or a particular pronunciation interference feature from their first language, which is intrusive, may not affect intelligibility, but may be a sort of thing that might irritate a speaker if it were left unchecked. So in fact, there's evidence to believe that the only way students improve their pronunciation is through correction. But correction can be gentle. It doesn't have to be brutal. And I think, as experienced teachers, we know of ways of gently correcting learners. And I think learners would be disappointed if we didn't do that. They see it as one of the responsibilities. Most learners expect their teachers to guide them in the right direction, and I think that goes for pronunciation just as much as other areas of language. We're now looking at Dennis's avatar, and it looks remarkably like Dennis, maybe 1 or 2 kilos.
Well, it's the case is that those in Second Life, they have more time to do workout. But it's very nice that he also colored like his hair gray, and yeah, it looks great, absolutely great. Super duper.
Azin, does that answer your question?
Azin has pointed out that his supervisor was more saying that it's not the teacher's responsibility to correct the errors, but it's the students who are supposed to look up these things in the dictionary and find the differences for themselves. And now Aziz totally disagrees on that methodology. Correctly so, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to intervene between you and your supervisor, but if we left students to look up everything, you know, I mean, they'd be still learning languages, English in 50 years' time, and there's an awful lot to look up and consult themselves. I think, yes, certainly, students should be encouraged to take some initiative to use dictionaries now, which provide a wealth of information about pronunciation, amongst other things. But I think the teacher's got a role to play there too. However, I'm not going to, as I say, I don't want to start an argument between you and your supervisor. But it's lovely to hear from you, and thank you for your question.